Today we're going to answer the age-old question. Spurs, are they a tool? Are they cruel?
Oh my God!
Let's get into it. So if you think about what the spur is, it's an extension of your foot. What you see a lot of times is you'll see people ride without spurs and they're taking their foot and then they gotta kick and kick and kick to get the horse to move sometimes. Especially older horses, as they get kind of more numb and a little more desensitized to pressure, it can be a real problem. So what this allows me to do is to get a big movement for a small amount of pressure. For instance, if you have a large surface area object, and you're trying to get something to move. A human, for instance. If someone wanted to push a human, they have to probably use their whole hand and a lot of force to get a little bit of movement. Or if someone had a knife point, a slight poke could get a pretty big reaction. Now, I'm not comparing this to a knife, but what I am trying to compare is this small surface area can create a big movement with not a lot of pressure. So here's an old boot. Here's how the spur fits on the boot. For the most part, it's a little loose, but you get the idea. And what you notice is the spur sticks out an extra inch or two past the back of the boot. Now, why some people think this is cruel is because basically you have a small, sometimes sharp object which can hurt or puncture the horse's side if not used correctly. It's kind of like the old saying, a poor workman blames his tools. It's kind of like that. Kind of like when they're talking about bits, right? When they're talking about bits and bridle setups for your horse. Now, some people think you should only be riding in the snaffle. And other people like, a hackable or no bit at all. Some people like maybe a correction bit or a medium port bit, something like that. All those setups can be cruel or not. It just depends on how soft the rider's hands are that are using them. I think the same way about spurs. So when I ride with my toe up and my heel down. So it looks something kind of like this. But whenever I go to cue the horse, I actually can make contact with the back of my leg before the spur ever hits the horse. If I need to utilize my spur, I simply roll my toe down and now I make contact with the spur. What a spur allows you to do is make corrections much more easily. If I have a horse that's leaning on me, when I apply calf pressure only and I'm pushing and the horse doesn't respond, I can take that spur and bump, and now that horse knows, hey, when that leg pressure's there, I need to move away or he's gonna bump me with the spur. Now, the different type of rowels, you have ball spurs, you have rock crushers, you have ones like these. There's a wide variety of different types of rowels. I like to always tell people, I could technically put a knife blade at the end of this, and if I remain soft and never use more pressure than just a tap or a touch, there's no pain caused to the animal. For instance, if I take this knife blade and I poke my hand, I move away pretty quick. But is that cruel? Did I just cause harm to my hand? I would say no. Now, obviously, I can do a lot of damage with this. This is a very extreme exaggeration. There's a misconception that the spurs somehow cause harm to the animal. And I guess, in my opinion, for me and my program, I like to think of this as an extension of my boot. This allows me to provide a correction with less pressure and much more easily. Now, that's not to say people don't overuse spurs and take advantage of them and don't use them the right way. But I think if we start maybe with a little bit of education of how we can use spurs the correct way, I think people won't be so turned off by them, because I think they are a very useful tool. Like I said, there are different types, and not all horses need spurs. Some are much more feely than others. But if you've ever seen, if you think back maybe with your horse or people you've seen, they try to get the horse to go somewhere and they just have to kick and kick and kick. Think about a youth kid who's riding a horse, especially one of them older, kind of more laid back, easygoing horses. They can be a little bit harder sided. Or you have a kid that has short, not very strong legs and they're kicking and wailing and the horse don't want to go anywhere. That problem can be alleviated or much more improved with a set of spurs of some kind. So for us, it's much better for me to ask with my calf, right? So you notice if this is in a spur, toe up, heel down, I can actually bend my leg to squeeze, make pressure with my calf only. And then when I need to, introduce the spur. I think people think you have to have spur contact all the time. But if you have good foot and rider position, and this looks something like this, and this being the horse's leg, I can turn my toe out and use my spur and then release. It might look better from this way. I'm sitting on the horse, my feet are like this, and this is the horse's body. Right now, the boot is laying flat against the horse, and this is the calf pressure here or here is making contact. It's only when I intentionally put my toe down and I squeeze and intend on this spur making contact with the body, does the spur actually make contact. So in summary, spurs, are they a tool or are they cruel? For me, they're a tool.